Welcome everyone. We're going to say story of Chazal, try to connect it to the Hilula, the Yartzeit of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, in connection to a story of a Nasi, another Nasi B'Yisrael, and this Nasi is Hillel, or sometimes referred to as Hillel Zokim. So the story is as follows. The story is also brought down in a few sources. We're only going to mention according to one source, which is the Medrash Aseres Hadibris. In the Sefer Myhiשועה from Rabinu ניסים Ga'on. And the story goes as follows. There were two people that were having a bet. They were betting each other if basically they could cause Hillel to get angry. And their bet was whoever would win, to cause him to get angry, he would get 400 zuz, which was a nice amount of money during their time. Again, this was the time of the second Beis Hamikdash time. So one of them decided to go. It was Erev Shabbos. Okay, this is a very busy time for everybody. So you could imagine for a Nasi, he was a Nasi in his time, he was a leader, and he was obviously very busy preparing for Shabbos. This was a very holy time. So what was Hillel doing? He was doing his Shabbos prep. He was rubbing his hair. This is one way that they would prep themselves for Shabbos, their bodily cleanliness. So he was doing this. So what happened? So this guy calls out to Hillel. He says, who over here is Hillel? Who over here is Hillel? That's what he was calling out by his house. So Hillel got up. He realized somebody seems to be looking for him. He wrapped himself up in his garb, and he came out and he said, what are you looking for? What are you asking? So he told him, I have a question to ask you. So he said, okay, ask my son, ask. So he told him, why are the heads of the Bavlim, the people from Babylonia, why, the way his Nusach, the Nusach of Rabinu ניסים is, why is it not circular? In other words, it's a little misshaped from the regular. So he told him, you asked me a very great question. You see, he respected his question, even though it seemed to be, an insignificant question to bother a Nasi Yisrael. Go ask this to the scientists, doctors. He'll listen to it very closely, and he justified his question. And he said, I'll tell you why. He said, because the Babylonians of that time apparently did not have midwives to take care and how to birth the kids. So it seems like, therefore they didn't look like everybody else, the kids, when they were born. Because when you go through the canal, it can have certain effects on how the head ends up looking. So this guy waited an hour. Fine, he left Hillel. He waited an hour. He came back, and he called again. Who over here is Hillel? So Hillel again got dressed, came out. It seems like Hillel was still busy getting ready, because every time he had to get dressed again and again. So it seemed like, interestingly enough, Hillel was getting ready for Shabbos was taking him a while. He put a lot of time into it. It wasn't just a quick thing. So Hillel came out, he said, what are you asking? So he told him, I have a question for you. So he said, my son, ask. So he told him, why are the eyes of a Talmudim, why are they, the word that the Medrash uses, this Medrash uses in the Gemara is trutais. One explanation of trutais means that the eyelids, and this is how the Aruch translates it, the eyelids are like very closed. So he told him the reason why the eyes are like this is because they live in a place where there's sand, and the wind's always blowing the sand, and it would enter their eyes. So therefore, their eyes had to be, adjust in a way that their eyelids are most of the time closed. So this guy left, and he came back. He waited for another hour. Then he came back, and he said, "Who over here is ill? Who over here is ill?" Again, the same question. Hillel had patience. He got dressed again. Seemed like he was still preparing. This is after 3 hours, it seems like. And he's still prepping for Shabbos. This is quite the prep. So he told him, why are the feet of Afrikim, whatever Afrikim means, whether it's Africa of the time, North Africa, South Africa, it's not clear. Why are they wide? So he told them, because they live amongst basically muddy areas. So some reason that required that the feet had to adjust over time to be more flat. That's one explanation of what it means. So Hillel didn't get angry. After all these questions, they seem to be very basic questions. You go ask a scientist or whatever. He had no problem. So when this guy realized, okay, I'm not able to get Hillel to get angry, he told him, you are Hillel the Nasi, Hillel the leader? So Hillel responded, yes, that's who I am. So he told him, if so, there should not be abundant of people like you amongst the Jews. So he told him, why not? So he told him, because you made me lose 400 zuz. Right? I lost a bet now because of you. So Hillel told him, you should be very careful with your spirits. In other words, with your emotions. Be very careful with them. He says, because he says it's worth it that you should lose 800, maybe even double of that, rather than make Hillel angry. In other words, getting angry is the worst thing possible. You should lose as much money as necessary in order not to make Hillel angry. That's how important it was to him. And Hillel was actually trying to teach him a lesson. He said, this is an important lesson for you as well. Watch your spirits, watch your moods, watch your emotions. This is not worth it, losing your emotions over. So that is quite a lesson to be learned. Even someone who's going to lose tons of money, Hillel said, this is not something worth getting angry over. Have a great day, and we should all learn from these great people.